with you with your 2-minute opening statement, and then Chuck, if you would just take up from there.
First of all, I would like to thank the Tea Party for hosting this event tonight, and I'd like to thank all of you for showing up and participating in the democratic process. This truly is what makes America great. I've been a long supporter of the Westchester Tea Party, and I'm proud of the fact that I believe I am the only candidate to ever get endorsed by this organization. I am proud that under my watch, Westchester has been recognized as one of the most desirable communities to live in America, and we have become the economic epicenter of the Cincinnati-Dayton corridor. But let's see how I'm doing based on the 3 Tea Party principles. First, fiscal responsibility. Under my watch, Westchester has eliminated 37 full-time positions, realizing a reduction of almost $1.3 million a year. We have outsourced the township's IT department, resulting in a savings of over $100,000 every year, and we have implemented the first ever employee contribution for health care, now up to 15%, which is saving the taxpayer millions of dollars a year. This resulted in Westchester receiving the highest bond rating of any community in Ohio, which saved the taxpayers an additional $1.7 million a year. Second principle, free markets. We are the only community touching us that does not have an earnings tax. This has allowed Westchester to flourish and prosper from an economic development perspective. Under my watch, we have attracted $3.2 billion new dollars in investment, over 21 million square feet of construction, and almost 60,000 people are now employed by almost 3,200 businesses that call Westchester home. Third principle, limited government. I am proud of the changes that have taken place to our zoning code to reduce government's intrusions in the life of our residents and our business owners. Before I was elected, it was nearly impossible to get a variance. When I first got elected, we changed the standards, and now variances are possible and somewhat commonplace. In addition to that, other problems with our zoning department have been attacked, like the costume characters and parking your work truck in your driveway. Are we perfect? No. We have room for improvement? Yes. But I'm proud of the changes we've made to the 3 principles that Tea Party holds so dear.
I am a newbie. Very few people know me, and only one person who knows me well. Been in this neighborhood for 11 years. Came down here from Northwest Ohio. Okay. I'm a patriot. When we said the Pledge of Allegiance a few moments ago, I did get a shiver. A little tear in my eye, and it's been that way for many, many years. Also a leader. For 21 years of my 23 years of military service, I was in a leadership position, any place from a sergeant to an interim first sergeant. For the past 21 years, I've been a corporate executive. I'm also a listener, and I found that you can learn more by listening than from opening up your mouth. But I'm not a politician. I had no aspirations of going on to bigger and better things. I'm here to serve people. I'm actually quite lazy. I've been lazy for some time because I allowed people to run my life that really shouldn't have been. And that's why I'm running. I find that politicians oftentimes will take as much of the power that you're allowed to give them. And oftentimes they'll spend our tax dollars without any restraints, because some people, like me, are also lazy. I would like to be a leader of this community. We know it's Westchester Township, and take care of people and keep people in line that need to be kept in line, and also keep the guy getting a good break or a good chance of running their own business, their own lives. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll start with you, George. What do you see as the most effective methods of attracting new business development to Westchester?
You know, that's one of the things I'm most proud of. The most effective method to attract new business development in Westchester is to keep the cost of government low. By keeping the cost of government low, we in Westchester have no earnings or income tax. Every community that touches us, that surrounds us, has one. Businesses are in business for one reason and one reason only, and that is to make profit. The maximum amount of profit that the market, not the government, will allow, but the market. So by keeping our cost of government low, and by having a kinder and friendlier zoning department than other communities that surround us, we have been able to flourish and prosper. During the recent recession, while the state of Ohio lost over 400,000 jobs, we added 20,000. We were the #1 community in the state in terms of adding jobs. Why is that? We're not better, smarter, or faster than any other community, but a business can come here and make more money. And what type of businesses are we attracting? We're leading the state in finance jobs. We're leading the state in engineering jobs. We're leading the state in medical jobs. We are attracting high-dollar, high-paying jobs. And it's not just large companies, it's small companies. Companies like CTL Aerospace, like DRG, a whole lot of small companies that are flourishing and prospering because they can come to Westchester and make more money, and they are investing. We have enjoyed over $3.2 billion in business that are investing here. What other type of businesses are growing? I'm proud to say even my own second call defense. We're about to buy our first commercial building here in Westchester. So I'm not only part of keeping the government low, but I'm part of the business community. Of the 5 corporate boards that I serve on, we employ almost 1,000 people in Westchester and across the country. And I'm really proud of the fact. And I'd also like to point out, trustees Mark Welch and Lee Longer here, you can't do this stuff alone. So thank you guys for being here as well.
How would keep the city, the community of Westchester business model? I believe if we keep the place friendly to new businesses, and it will attract not only those businesses, but also other businesses. It'll also increase the amount of revenue and income tax, and also the money that those businesses excel can also employ people that will buy things from other businesses. You got to keep it friendly, and keep it friendly by not having heavy regulations that keeps a business from actually excelling. How many times have we heard different government agencies put their thumb down on a business that's trying to do things right, trying to make a business, and trying to make payroll at the same time? Thank you.
Just let you start, bounce back and forth. Says over the years there have been talk about incorporation. What are your thoughts upon incorporation?
I really think we've got a great program where we're a township, not an incorporated village or city. There's so many different regulations and things that we have to concern ourselves with that we would have if we were incorporated. So I am against incorporated.
Thank you. I would like to correct one thing Chuck said. We are a township. We do not have an income tax. So he said when we bring more businesses, we'll increase the income tax. We will not, because we don't have one, which is why we do so well. I am absolutely 100% adamantly opposed to incorporation. Matter of fact, the last time it reared its ugly head, I, along with many of the leaders in the Tea Party here, took the lead to fight the incorporation. The group trying to incorporate never got the signatures to make it to the ballot. Why am I against incorporation? Because if we incorporate, we are killing the goose that is giving us the golden eggs. There's only one reason for us to incorporate, and that is to give government more money. The only way for us to destroy this beast that is known as government is to defund the beast. The only reason to incorporate is to give us more money. Don't do it. The 3 trustees right now all have pet projects that are dear to them. I know Leah is very committed to bypass. I'm very committed to veterans and senior causes, and I know Mark has his passions as well. Don't give us the money. We will spend it. We will spend it. Government is not responsible. So please don't give us the money. If incorporation comes up again, you can count that I will be at the forefront of it, fighting against it because it is the thing that makes us successful. I recently met with some leaders of a city close to us, I won't say who or what city, and they asked me, what do we need to do to copy the economic development success that Westchester is having? I said, you need to reduce the size of your government significantly. You need to move your downtown close to I-75, and you have to unincorporate. You have to become a township, because when it comes to businesses looking for a place to locate, you cannot compete.
George, there are two of these in the stack, and these are in your direction, so I'll send this one your way, and I'll save something else for Chuck later. It says it's floating around that you intend to run for a state senate position. If you would win your election as a trustee, will you leave the board and appoint a replacement? And do you think it's unfair to ask us to vote knowing that you might want to be leaving?
I didn't understand the second part of that question. Could you just read the whole thing again, please?
It says it's floating around that you intend to run for a state senate position.
Yeah.
If you win, and I'm assuming the way they wrote this, if you win election now in your trustee position, will you leave the trustee board and appoint a replacement? Do you not think it's unfair to ask us to vote knowing that you won't be serving in the future?
Listen, I am not looking to run for Senate one day. I'm looking to run for governor one day, okay? I do have political aspirations. I am not going to deny it. There is a process if this happens. And by the way, there's a lot of great people that want to be senator. I'm very fond of our current state rep, Margie Condit. If that's something Margie wants to do, I would not run against Margie. So for anybody that tries to plan a political career in terms of moving up, it's a pretty foolish thing to do because there's so many moving pieces and so many things that you have no control of. But if an office, if a higher office does come up and I run for it and I win, there is a process in place for my replacement to be picked. And that process says Mr. Wong and Mr. Welch get to interview candidates, interested candidates. They submit a letter of interest, and Mr. Wong and Mr. Welch can agree on one candidate. That person will become the next trustee and serve until the next election. Unless the time frame is short of 2 years, then they'll have to run early. If Mr. Wong and Mr. Welch cannot agree, every candidate has a committee that they submit to the Board of Elections. I have 5 names on my committee. Those 5 people will choose my replacement. I would not have part of the process in choosing my replacement. I know Chuck has Jennifer Metcalf as his committee. If something happens to Chuck, it would be Jennifer, assuming Mr. Wong and Mr. Welch couldn't agree, it would be Jennifer who would get to pick his replacement. That's the process as it exists today.
This question is for both of you, and I'll start with you, Chuck. What is your opinion of using JEDs and TIFs as a means of attracting business to Westchester?
Could you help me out with the JED?
Joint Economic
Joint Economic Development District, also a Joint Economic Development Zone, and a TIF is tax increment financing.
Really against the tax. I believe it's fair. Competition.
Speak into the mic.
One's on the bottom.
Hey, Larry.
Yes.
I'm against tax incentives because it's not really fair to the competition. Besides that, I just don't see that to be a good method of doing things.
Thank you. Actually, tax increment financing has nothing to do with tax incentives. The way tax increment financing works, and it's a great economic development tool for a township to use. We take a piece of property, in this example, it was Union Center Boulevard, and we went to the owners of this property, and we said, we are going to put a TIF on. And what that allows them to do, rather than pay their normal taxes, they pay a significantly higher amount of taxes into the TIF. We then use that money to develop that property. And as a result of developing that property, the tax increment financing, the taxes go up. So for example, we had property in Union Center Boulevard that was worth about $2,000 an acre. Today it's going for $500,000 an acre. That benefits the police department. It benefits the fire department. It benefits the school district because all of that extra money is being generated. And the beautiful part of it is the residents aren't affected because it's only people in the tip that are paying the tax. So it's a way for us to have an economic development tool without burdening the residents. So it's a tremendous tool that we have. Now, the one downside to TIFs when they originally came out is they did not keep the school district whole. So what happened is when people entered into a TIF, the school district got nothing. Since then, the state legislature has corrected that so that new TIFs today keep the school district whole. We had a couple of TIFs in Westchester that did not keep the school district whole. As soon as that new law came into place, we re-TIFed the TIFs. That makes sense. We re-TIFed the TIFs so that the money that would be generated for the school districts is now going to the school districts. So the TIFs are an absolutely amazing tool, and I don't have time to talk about JEDs, but I am against JEDs in most circumstances. There is one circumstance I support them, otherwise I'm against them. I get a little passionate sometimes.
Once again, so you don't think I'm calling in questions, there was one that was, I'm not sure how the candidates would answer it, but I'll answer it for them. It had to do with what ideas do you have to improve our police department's relations with the community. And I'll say this, if you come to our meetings, you would have heard our police chief, Joel Herzog, speak at great length, and he was grilled at great length. And I can tell you that... okay. I didn't know you had a bunch of them. But he did, that is an opportunity, and I'd like to tell everybody, that is an opportunity to get personal with the chief when we have those kind of meetings, because there were a lot of things and a lot of statistics that I had no idea about what they do. But I'll give that back to you, and if you want to start with that, George, and go backwards.
Perfect. I was at that meeting. I'm proud of the fact I attend almost every Westchester Township meeting. I was actually part of the original board that started the Westchester Township Tea Party. We called ourselves the Freedom Fighters at the time. Brought in Chris Littleton, who brought in Ann Baker, and it morphed into the, Ann Becker, and it morphed into the Westchester Township Tea Party. What we can do for police, now anything we do for police is going to cost money, so we do have to be careful. But one of the things we can do to make community relations better, there's two ideas I want to implement. One is a Citizens Review Oversight Committee. This committee is out there that when a citizen has a complaint against the police department, rather than the police department investigating themselves, there's an independent body that can take a look at this. This would not replace internal affairs. The police department would still do their own internal investigation. It would be addition to it. Maybe instead of a, we would call it some type of a forum or some type of a focus group. The other thing I think is vitally important is the implementation of body cams and cruiser cams. As we see from what's going on nationally, the evidence you can pick up from body cams and cruiser cams is amazing. You get a much better picture of the story. Right now we are in the process of testing body cams and cruiser cams, and I think Mr. Wiltz and Mr. Long both support me that we hope to have a plan in place by January 1st. We may not have the cams in place by January 1st, but we hope to have the plan in place by January 1st. The other thing we can do is community involvement. I want to encourage everybody here, our police department twice a year does something called the Citizens Police Academy. If you want to learn a lot about police work, I would encourage you all to go there and take this class. It's a 10-week class. It takes about 3 hours a week to do it. The other thing I'd like to say about the police department, which doesn't necessarily put me in their good graces, I did vote against their levy, and I think I'm the only trustee that has ever voted against the levy in Westchester.
If you ever looked at the front of my house, I have a sign that praises the Westchester Police and Fire Departments. I've had two of them. Somebody chose upon themselves to take a ball back to the first one. Within a day or so, I had a second one replacement, so, I agree with, George on the body cams and the cruiser cams. Probably the worst, witness is an eyewitness because they've got a preconceived idea of what they've actually seen. Here we have something that's called recording evidence, and it's going to prove probably 90% of the time that the officer did in fact do the right thing. And the other part that I really like to see would be some type of program where they would show what the cops have done, what the fire departments have done that has been heroic. These guys are wearing the blue or putting themselves in harm's way to protect you and I. Yeah, sometimes we have a ticket because we moved too fast to a neighborhood or something like that, and nine times out of 10, it was definitely our fault, and we had it up in files. But I definitely support the police and the fire department for that matter. Thank you.
Westchester has a maturing population where empty nesters are on the rise. What would you do to accommodate the shifting demographics to help retain the tax base while attracting new young professionals?
I guess I am one of those empty nesters, and I'm also one of those senior citizens, so to speak. As I mentioned before, I think that we have to have a friendly community to attract people. If it is a community that wants to snob people, somebody that wants to raise their children in a community that's like Westchester, would be pushed away. We've got to keep it in a friendly place, a place where young couples can purchase a home, and maybe a startup home, or maybe one that's of the higher end. Keep that area so that they can, in fact, raise their children and grow the community. I think that will pretty much take care of itself. We have to keep that at base of young people, or we're just going to die on the vine.
Thank you, Chuck. Also, one thing I'd like to point out before I answer this question. Chuck served 24 years in the military. Let him know how much we appreciate his service. The best thing we can do for empty nesters is to keep our tax base low. And here's a few statistics of what's happened since I became trustee. When I was elected, our carryover was $800,000. And it was about $3 million 3 years before that, so it was on the way down. For those of you that aren't familiar with the term carryover, it would be synonymous with retained earnings in the corporate world. Not quite EBITDA, but retained earnings. Today, I'm proud to say that our carryover is over $11.2 million, with another $4 million in 3 reserve funds: road maintenance, facility maintenance, and IT. So we have over $15 million in reserves today. So we do not need a tax increase. That's going to help the empty nesters. Now, what are the young people looking for? Listen, I've got a 20-year-old daughter at liberal New York University, and I want her to come back to Westchester. She's looking for quality of life. She's looking for a community where she doesn't have a car. She's happy to Uber. She's happy to walk. But she wants to be able to live in a downtown environment where she can walk to work, walk to the restaurants, walk to her entertainment establishments. Hopefully she's not walking to the bars, right? So what we need in order to retain that type of a person is housing stock. I'm really proud of what Liberty is doing at their new Liberty Center development in one big way. It's going to attract the millennials because they can come there. Their offices can literally be across the street, and they have all their shopping and entertainment right there. We're also doing that in Westchester right now. We recently have some high-density housing that has come to Westchester. Look at the Savoy. If you guys haven't driven back there, go drive backwards. It's about a 5 to 8 minute walk from our downtown, and it's beautiful. And who's going there? Young doctors, young nurses. The medical community is filling this up, and that's what we need to do to how the right housing stock will attract the young people. Sorry, dude.
Start using the mic.
Okay.
There are 2 questions which I'll combine into one, and they both deal with, I'll just read both of them and then you can answer however you see fit. First question is, what zoning changes would you like to implement if elected and why? And the second one is, the zoning code currently prohibits all form of backyard or agriculture. Do you pledge your support for our property rights by doing your very best to amend the zoning code to allow residents to legally have their gardens and their animals? I guess we'll start with George.
I went first last time. I think that, no, I'm sorry. I did go, Chuck, it is my turn. You know, when people say that we don't allow backyard agriculture in our zoning department, that is not an accurate statement. I want to read to you exactly what our lawyer has written, okay? Regarding backyard agriculture. The zoning resolution permits agriculture and farm uses, including farming, dairying, pasturage, agriculture, horticulture, floriculture, viticulture, greenhouses, and nurseries only on lots greater than 3 acres in the R1 and R1A zoning district. The same is true of animal, poultry, or animal husbandry, or the keeping of farm animals. Notably, this is the very important part, right from our zoning code. These provisions do not prevent an individual from doing things such as growing fruit trees, maintaining a personal garden, planting or growing ornamental shrubs to decorate property. These more decorated uses are generally not considered to be agricultural or farm uses, provided that they are truly for personal use rather than distribution to others. You can drive around the township. There are people with backyard gardens all over the township. Not once in the history of Westchester since I've been here has anybody been cited that. Think of how silly that would be. That would be similar to you saying that if you are mowing your lawn, you are now a landscaper. You're conducting landscaping business. This is a misnomer and it is not accurate. It'd be similar to you saying your car in your garage makes you a car dealership. It's just not true. There are people all over Westchester that are enjoying the use of their property for backyard farming and things along those lines. What zoning changes would we make? There are quite a few that I would like to implement. I've got 15 seconds left. Very quickly, we have an issue with signage in the township. Our BZA continually gets hit with signage, and other issues, backyard chickens, other things that we need to discuss. I'm out of time, sorry.
Well, I'm glad that the gardens that we made, because I looked out my garden this week, decided to leave, of course. I had probably 15, 20 violations of what I believe was code, so it is an important thing. The signage, seems like we've got a lot of stores that have big signs. We have stores that have small signs. And yes, some of them can be awfully poor taste and so forth. We have the big billboards. What is the difference between a billboard and a storefront sign? I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what the difference between the two are. Why do we have a limitation for some businesses and unlimited seemingly on other businesses? So backyard signs are an important thing. The other is quite frankly, I'm involved in a church that they're trying to keep from having a church school in. And they're using some things like there's excess traffic. However, next door, there's a Muslim senator, a Muslim mosque that has a church school there of over 100 people. We're talking about someplace in the neighborhood of 50 or less. But the BZA is taking on themselves that they don't want us to have that. And they use the guys that we have too much traffic in there. So I think the BZA is actually going overboard on their authority. They'll allow some things to happen and then bully other people with that.
We'll entertain 2 more questions. This one is probably in civics. less in question. What do you see as the primary role of local government as it relates to businesses and the citizens of the township?
The primary goal, or what I like to call the core competencies of local government, are very simple. They are roads and stormwater, which encompasses all infrastructure, and then public safety, police, fire, and paramedics. Those are the core competencies of government, and that's the only thing we should focus on. The best thing we can do for our businesses is to get the hell out of their way. Let the market regulate it, not the government. I believe in free markets and free peoples. So if we, as a township, only focus on our core competencies and stay out of everything else, we can continue to flourish and prosper as we currently are doing. The problem we get is when government becomes too big and too burdensome. That's the issue. When you hear people saying things like they want to keep people in line that need to be kept in line, that should be a concern for you. That should be a concern for you. We need to get government out of the way. The markets know how to regulate themselves, and the less we can do, the more freedoms people and businesses have, the better our community is going to be.
Mr. Langton and I are in agreement on that. Big business, or I should say big government, stifles the growth of the company, or the country. We don't want to develop a nanny state mentality where the government is telling us what color roof we're going to have on a house, what color flowers, and so forth. And that's where we're really wrong on that. I look down Cincinnati Dayton Road. There's a White Castle. All the White Castles I've ever seen have been what color? White. But for some reason, this one is what kind of beige color. I think that's overstepping the bounds of the government, saying that you have to have something that's in compliance with a color scheme that somebody in their wisdom has put together. So we've got to keep that mentality of trying to control everybody's lifestyle and just get out of my life. I want to live my life the way I want to do it, as long as I'm not infringing on anybody's rights or anything like that. Thank you.
I agree with that.
I'll make this our last question before our closing comments, because we still have one more person to hear from after our two trustees. It says some elected reps think they should represent the region, which includes redistribution of wealth by local tax dollars going to another county, i.e. the chamber in Cincinnati. Where do you stand?
This is a stupid question. We should never, ever put money out to some other community unless it's a help me up situation. Let's say they've had a tornado or something like that, where we're going to help them up. The redistribute wealth is ludicrous. And that's very short and simple, but that's the way I believe.
I agree with Chuck wholeheartedly on that. The redistribution of wealth is wrong. People work hard for their income, and there are people that choose not to work. This is America. You want to be homeless, you have the right to be homeless. My only position is be powerful in your homelessness. Don't expect me or anybody else to pay for it. Don't expect any business to subsidize you. And as far as money going down to Hamilton County, we did contribute, I don't remember if it was $10,000 or $20,000 to Ready Cincinnati. Ready Cincinnati is a regional organization that helps us with economic development. We don't have the money or the resources or the tool to attract businesses on a global basis. And the success we've had with Ready Cincinnati has been fairly impressive. We've had, I believe, 4 deals closed this year, including CTL Aerospace. I see Rich Hoffman in the back. His company benefited from this work that was done by our investment in Ready Cincinnati. You know, we have over a $55 million budget. We took $20,000 of it to invest in something that we think is going to have a tremendous payback to our taxpayers. And I applaud Mr. Welch and Mr. Wong for supporting that as well. And so far, the results are still premature, but the impact to our taxpayers is, looks like it's going to be significantly higher than the investment that we've made.
It's time for our one-minute closings. George?
If I went first on the opening, do I have to go first on the closing?
Yeah, because I'm going to cut you off.
Perfect. Hey, listen, before there's one person I forgot to thank. We are blessed today. We have with us the most beautiful woman that God ever gave the opportunity to walk the face of this earth. My beloved wife. 12 years ago, Debbie will tell you the road hasn't always been smooth, has it? It's been very bumpy, but she has stood there with me through thick and thin, and I hope you know how much I truly appreciate and I truly love you. Thank you for being there. You know, America used to be a place where you go where you want to go, do what you want to do, be what you want to be, live the way you want to live, and pray the way you want to pray. Those concepts are being hijacked by a bunch of liberals. And it's not just at the federal. They're attacking us at the local level here as well. We've been fighting Agenda 21 and fighting this liberal causes. Elections do count, and I would just like to say that my record shows that I trust I have earned your support, and I humbly ask for your vote on November 3rd. Thank you.
What you said about your wife, you know, you're really putting in a bind here, George. Yes, she is. And married 38 years, 23 of them, well, actually 18 of them, while I was in the Army. And so she had to put up with the times that I'd be gone. That's when the dog that wasn't supposed to have pups did. The kids would be the sickest. Kids going to the hospital and so forth. So yes, thank you very much, Karen. If I'm elected, I want to return Westchester to a friendly community, one that is going to attract businesses, one that's going to attract families who move into a nice neighborhood. A community that's without big government attitude. And where the zoning board is held accountable for their actions. I like to have a community where people are free to exercise their religious freedoms. And my time is up. Thank you very much.
Constituents, I do have one more person to introduce. Our fiscal officer for Westchester is Mr. Bruce Jones. He is running